Today we're going to discuss how to fix a broken black tank valve. I have an Imagine 2800 BH 2018, and we were out camping and our black tank got stuck open, and thankfully I had one of these valves that will open and close and kind of save me. So this video is going to be about some ideas on how to fix it. Throughout my ownership of this Imagine 2800, my black tank cable was never very easy to pull, and it finally just broke. And I needed to do something more than what you see most people doing on the internet and advising you to do on social media. So this is going to be a little bit different of a video than what you'll see. First off, this is the black tank valve, sometimes called a blade valve. There are other names. Mine has a 36-inch cable, and a couple of things to note of. Many of the videos that you'll see online ask you to remove this screw, which releases this cable, which will release this, give you an opportunity to take an Allen wrench, which I found is a metric number 3, to release this cable, and then many people are just replacing that. When I started to get into my black tank underneath my camper, the cable system, it still wasn't moving very well. So I know there's a problem with my blade and my cable, and I want to, I don't know, be an engineer and fix it as it's supposed to be. I should note that I did call Grand Design, and I got hold of customer service, and I got a hold of the actual part number and ordered it through Amazon. I'll post that on in the video. But this is an important step. While waiting for your parts, we'll leave a bucket and your black tank open to let it dry out. It's already a bad job. Let that tank dry out for a few days. Step 1, I crawled underneath here, and you will have your exoskeleton, which is just this cardboardy plastic piece that needs to be removed. And before you can remove it, you have to remove all of the expanding foam. And I started around my exit chute here, and I want to caution you that as you're using a knife, you got to be pretty careful that you do not hit your heating vents. So work slow, don't be in a rush. There is my valve that's going to be replaced today. So not only am I replacing the cable, I'm also replacing the valve. So there are a couple parts. One, I'm going to undo these 4 bolts, and I believe these parts are glued in. I don't know anything other than that. They aren't. They have to be glued in. So I'm going to be removing this right here and sliding in the new one and just putting these 4 bolts in, and I think that should solve my problem. Just to recap what I'm doing is I'm using a 16th inch wrench and socket, and I'm removing these 4 bolts. I'm not going to be using this flange and this flange. I'm just going to be sliding in this box that has the latex valve, and I'm gonna, you'll see those orange rings in there. Those orange rings also will get installed. So here's what my new part looks like. Remember, these are going to be, I think, fixed in place on your septic system. So that's why I removed this. This is the new part that I want. There are 2 orange pieces on each side that are going to have to get put in there, and you do need to make sure that that screw down here faces down, like towards the ground, not back up to the camper, because if you ever have to work on this valve or this cable again, you're going to need that access to that. Learn that. I've got great news. I removed the last bolt and this thing just slides right out. It moves like butter. So you can do this. This is gonna work. Now that I have my valve removed, I see a couple of things that I should probably point out. One, you can see this floppy little plasticky thing in here. That's definitely what was causing that cable to be so hard to pull. But also I want you to note that many people on Grand Design complain every time they open up their sewer hose to dump, they get splashed. Well, there's a gap there, and the new one does not have that gap, and that's obviously letting sewage through, and that's why you get splashed every time you open up your end cap to dump your thing. So easier than expected. I'm glad I found that plasticky part. It was on both sides, so I don't know where it came from or what, but it was there, and I'm putting a brand new part in. Okay, self-filming is not easy, but there's the hole. I made sure the old rubber flanges were out of there, and I cleaned up around that with a rag. I'm going to slide this in, the new part in. This is probably a horrible video, but I'm trying my best to help you out, and you can do this yourself. All right, it slid right in. I'm gonna put those 4 bolts back in, and it is just about installed. All right, everything is installed. Bolts are snugged up. I've run this cord, the cable system around, and attached it to the bracket. And it's still a hard turn. It doesn't go in and out nice and easy, but while I was tightening the bolts up, I was making sure that that gate valve was opening and closing. I'm going to do a water test, dump some water down the toilet and put some buckets here and make sure the thing doesn't leak, because once you put that membrane back on, that exoskeleton, just got to make sure it works. So I just think that's a tight turn for that cable, and if I had some welding skills, I'd relocate this so that it was just a straight pull. So there are 3 options for fixing your black tank. The first option would be to buy this end cap that just goes on the end of your black tank. Option 2 is to put a new cable on your black tank, and option 3, what I showed you today, was buying this whole new part and sliding it in. You can see that I had problems with some weird stuff getting stuck in that valve, and that's why I replaced the whole valve. An easy job, maybe $100 worth of supplies, including a can of great stuff to put your things back on, and now I have a working black tank that goes in and out with ease. You can do it. I'll put the part number on the video. Happy camping.